53 years old. My addiction started out at a very young age. My parents divorced when I was 7, and for some reason I thought it was my fault that my dad left, so that left me always wanting to fit in. I grew up in West Virginia, so you know, the normal thing for us to do there was to smoke weed and drink and you know, do coke every once in a while. And I ended up getting pregnant when I was 15. Luckily, I had my grandmother and my mother supported me. And I ended up graduating high school, but I got married right after I graduated to my son's father, he was very physically abusive. We were married for 18 years, a lot of using, was able to get out of that marriage. But I ended up, because of, you know, the wanting to fit in, wanting to feel loved, and because of my father, you know, not being in my life, I ended up getting involved with a man that I worked with. I worked in the car business, and he was smoking crack cocaine, and I thought I could save him, and ended up using along with him, and just led to all my money being gone, you know, getting kicked out of my apartment, but I didn't really think I had a problem. I finally went into treatment in 1998, but I went in for the wrong reasons. Met another man that was in recovery. Moved out, moved in together, started dealing drugs then, you know, because of course he didn't work and I still had my job, so, you know, that was the only thing he knew. So we ended up relapsing, and that took me on a 10-year, just crazy roller coaster, you know, and I ended up going to Jessup twice.
The correctional facility?
Yes, the correctional facility. And the last time I was there, right before I got there, I spent 7 months in city jail going back and forth to court. And I met some ladies that were coming in doing a Bible study and choir, and they had connections with Port Recovery. So after much fighting back and forth with the state, it was agreed upon. There was someone from Port Recovery that came to court with me on my behalf and argued with the state's attorney in order to get me sentenced, the rest of my sentence, to the program. So my sentence ended up being 15 years, all suspended, but 2, which I had to do a total of 13 months inside, and then 3 years sentenced to Port Recovery and 4 years probation. I ended up coming to Port Recovery on November the 5th, in 2012, and I had 13 months clean when I got here because I had decided that I was not going to use anymore. So when I got here, you know, for me it was a safe place. You know, when I was in Jessup the last time, my father died while I was incarcerated, and my mother said to me, she said, "Where will you be when I die?" After I got to Port Recovery, because of the clean time I had and my skills that I've always had, life skills of working, I became a house manager at Port Recovery, and I managed the house at our main office. And I also started driving our outpatient van. This last May, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and she ended up dying in June, on June the 9th. And it was amazing for me to be able to sit there with her and say, "Remember the conversation we had when I was incarcerated?" And I said, "Because I'm here for you," you know. And so that's even more of an incentive for me to continue on the road that I'm going down, you know, to stay clean and to be able to help others. I have clients that come in and they look at me and they're like, "Oh, you haven't done anything." And when I start telling them some of the things I did in my criminal past and everything, they're like, "Wow." So there's nothing that that they're doing that I haven't already done or been through. And Port Recovery has just been awesome for me, you know, because to me it's more of a family. You know, the owner Shelley, her mother Jojo, all the staff, we're like one big family, you know, and I love it. My goal is to stay with Port Recovery as a house manager, eventually maybe move out into an apartment of my own, but if I do, I'm going to continue to work for Port Recovery and, driving the van so I can stay connected. Because that's what it's about. It's getting connected with good people, people that are there to lift you up and not losing that connection. So that's what happens to so many people when they relapse, is they lose that connection. So I would recommend anybody, come into our program, because, we have everything you need, September the 21st, 2011 is my clean date. And so I'll be celebrating 4 years in the next couple of weeks. So.